Hi, and welcome back to GoLocal Live. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for joining us this Friday afternoon. Sun is coming out here in Providence, and I'd like to welcome in a regular guest, Robert Whitcomb, GoLocal columnist. Thank you for coming in today.
It's a beautiful day. What could go wrong?
We shall see. The day is young. I want to start local here in downtown Providence with some news this week. Providence Mayor Jorge Elorza delivered his budget address for the fiscal year 2020 year. And that came on the heels of the report from General Treasurer Seth Magaziner's office, which is not any news we haven't known. Providence's pension fund is in critical status, I believe 23% funded, but the treasurer made a point of calling out that 8% rate of return is probably not being realistic. Now, as most folks know, lowering that rate of return would have to mean a bigger contribution from the city to the pension fund to meet its ARC payment.
It should be no more than about 7%, in my view. Well,
but can the city absorb it?
We're in this sort of classic. You and I have talked about the economic cycle. You know, what could go wrong? It's a beautiful day. 8%. Stock market's been going up. We've been down this road many times before.
The market's not going to go up forever.
No, not forever. Not forever.
So what happens in an economic downturn?
Well, then we have a disaster again. I think, if the tax revenues go down, and again, I hope it doesn't happen, but I think we'll have a recession probably next year, starting next year. Then what happens to all these pension deals? And of course, meanwhile, over the legislature wants to, add stipends to the pensions. We've read about that, in years where they aren't getting a cost of living adjustment. And we've all kinds of exciting stuff is going on that usually happens toward the end of a business cycle. So what happens next year if tax revenues plunge because of a recession and we're trying to pay the pension? I don't know. Do you
think the situation could inevitably be dire?
Yeah, I think what might happen is I know this happen. We talk about this every once in a while. The state might have to come in and take over the city.
Well, we'll
Could
see.
happen. Yeah.
We'll see moving forward. Speaking of the state level, GoLocal reported today another excoriating editorial from the Wall Street Journal pertaining to Rhode Island Governor Gina Raimondo, pointing out her use of taxes and fees, and then juxtaposing it with Rhode Island's New England last place role for private sector
they got it in sort of an amusing dig, saying that, my God, now it's worse than Connecticut.
Yes.
So, yeah.
They said Ned Lamont is thankful for the position that Rhode Island's in to make
Wall Street. This is again the editorial.
Yes.
Page. So let's not. This isn't a news page, and I can tell you, having worked there many, many years ago, there's a pretty sharp distinction. But yeah, that'll get her attention because, of course, the governor has a lot of New York connections. She was in the investment business herself, venture capital. And I think with her background, and she does have knowledge of finance, I think she probably read that pretty carefully. This has not been a happy day for the governor.
But the governor oftentimes, by lieu of her press team and those national connections, oftentimes gets glowing press, whether it's the free college tuition proposal or other things taking place.
Well, for the right, she got glowing.
There's no happy medium.
I mean, from the right, she got glowing reviews when she did address the pension issue, which took some guts in a state like
right
this,
now, if you dub the Wall Street Journal the
now they
right.
don't like her. Now she's a traitor. So yeah, this is a bad day to start the weekend.
And let's stick on the national level here. Speaking of things taking place, let's go to D.C. and the Barr-Mueller continued brouhaha.
Yeah, I think the big thing will be, I guess Mueller is going to testify. I think to the House. The Senate is somewhat narrowly controlled by the Republicans, and the Republicans are terrified of being primaried by a Tea Party / Trump supporter. So they're all whatever the plantation owner wants, they'll give him. But in the House, I think they are going to get Mueller. It'll be fascinating to see what Mueller says about his former friend Bill Barr.
It will be very interesting. What did you think
of
the Kentucky Fried Chicken?
That didn't help me much. No, I thought that. I didn't think that was a very successful stunt, actually. And incredibly unhygienic, too. All that grease all over the table, those nice tables, paid for by taxpayers.
You're making me hungry. Let's move
on
to what you have. You've got your sheet here for what
what do we have here besides allergies this year really bad? Well, one thing I want to talk about, and I think GoLocal will be maybe looking into this, the biodegradable burial plan at Swan Point. Very excited about that, even though I think, cremation is my favorite thing. And, I did sort of ruminate in my column about, after about the grandparents' generation, we just disappear. Unless you're a world historical figure, we just disappear. Even in your lifetime, you can quickly disappear.
But it's a great combination of your fascination with history and some morbidity tossed in there.
Right, and organic chemistry, especially. But I think I love the name of this place where they're going to be putting these corpses, which I gather they mean without coffins, I think, without those, those brass, holders. So I don't know if they're going to have an open pit and just throw people in there like that. But it will be one of the most fertile places in New England.
The devil will be in the details.
Yeah,
And what else do we have going on?
I give a kind of a thumbs up to Mr. McKeon at the Publix Radio, who wrote about asphalt. We all use asphalt, but actually in the long run it's much cheaper to use concrete, right? Except for the bump you get in Connecticut.
With the lines, yep.
But this is American short-termism, which of course costs us a lot more in the long run. But I'm glad I've written about that too. But good for them for writing about it. I talk about the gun laws. Burrillville and Gloucester are looking into, or Burrillville already is,
Second Amendment
to basically ignore.
Towns.
Yeah, they're going to determine the constitutionality of state laws, I guess, which doesn't sound like a good thing in a federal system. That's not their job. They are legal children of the state. They should, and the same thing with sanctuary cities for immigrants, for illegal immigrants. That's not good either. Aren't the feds supposed to be in charge of immigration?
Well, I think that, you talk about the devil being in the details. It's when the rubber hits the road.
Yeah,
I mean, again, Barville passed the resolution. Other towns are now considering it.
No, I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think the town should be doing that, but it is very entertaining. And so much for the right of a free people to a well-regulated militia. Everybody forgets that, the well-regulated part especially.
Well-regulated. Well, if you want to read more on guns, Swan Point Cemetery, local and national politics, you'll have to read Robert Whitcomb this Sunday on GoLocalProv.com. We'll let you go.
See you at Swan Point.
with our next guests here in downtown Providence on Go Local Live.